So you want to run Tomb of Annihilation? No, that's fine, but when I ran it, I was quite overwhelmed. It is considered one of the best adventures, certainly for 5e, but it's a lot to juggle, and I hope to make this easier for you. This is the DM guide I would have wanted. Gary Gygax wrote The Tomb of Horrors in 75, published it in about 78, and then was plonked, changed, updated, put in the Yawning Portals book. It is hard to run the tomb. It is hard on the players. It's known as a meat grinder. Your players go in, they get minced, and they're dead. Then they took that tomb, put it in a hidden city, a lost city, in a massive jungle on a continent, and thus Tomb of Annihilation was born. The tomb is made by Acererak, which I believe the 2024 pronunciation guide has changed to Acererak. Whatever, doesn't make a difference. He's an arch-lich. He takes sick pleasure in devouring the souls of adventurers, which is cool for us. The tomb here is called the Tomb of the Nine Gods, and it literally is just a machine to chew up the souls to be used as fuel. That's as much as I'm saying here. If there are any players left watching, leave. You don't want it spoiling. It's for dungeon masters. So we get a map of a jungle continent with a lot missing, and each one hex is 10 miles. That, for me, was overwhelming, and I presume it is for you. So let's talk the jungle and travel. The first thing I contended with was looking at jungle photos on the internet. How was I going to describe endless jungle? There's really only so many ways if I'm going to cover 9 months of jungle travel. Now, I made a bunch of slides like this, screenshots, put them on slideshow onto the television, and that was part one. It's like, look, jungle, imagine jungle. You can see the jungle. That does a lot of the heavy lifting for me. I'm saying you're travelling through the jungle, the leaves are thick, the air is humid, and then as that's playing, I either play music or at first, atmosphere. They walk in, maybe something like this is playing. Okay, the jungle and jungle travel. By the time they land in the hub, Port Nyanzaru, you'll have introduced the temperature not falling below 70 degrees Fahrenheit ever, even at night. It's hot, it's humid. Dehydration is a problem. At first, until they start introducing create food and water spell, something like that, which you will be glad of, because tracking food and water becomes a chore, unless you hand wave it. So this video, I'll remind you, is just an intro, and eventually I'll go through each chapter of the book, give my advice, explain what's in it, swap out any modifications I might suggest, and you'll be able to go chapter by chapter on the video list. They can travel about 10 miles a day on foot, which is a hex. If they go by canoe, that's also a hex. If it's stormy, they get 1 level of exhaustion going by foot in the strong, stormy jungle rain, and canoes get swamped easily. Are they going to wander aimlessly, or are they going to hire a guide? There are several in Port Nyanzaru. They all have their own plots, they all have their own knowledge of what's where, and it's the correct decision if they do. But do they hire a mount? Maybe they don't have enough money at first. Maybe they don't travel that far away from the port to get some money, come back, invest. So there's a lot to do in the port itself, allowing you to unveil details bit by bit. We'll dig deeper in that episode. And ultimately, the book gives us big roll table pages of what they encounter and a separate one for what they encounter in the port itself. The book does say that if you haven't drunk a gallon of water by the end of each day, it's a DC 15 con save, or you have 1 level of exhaustion. As I go through the jungle, there are diseases that can be picked up. Mad monkey fever, shivering sickness, even throat leeches. Now, what exactly is the story? The story is they're looking for the lost city. Because of something called the death curse, everybody who has been brought back to life at some point now starts to rot. They lose 1 health point every day. Why are people dying this way? That's the answer they're trying to find, and they come to realise they're looking for the lost city because it might hold the answers. there's actually a second lost city which an NPC by the name of Artist Simba is looking for. That city just rose up and disappeared somewhere. His wife was still on board, so to speak. Now, Artist Simba is also in Storm King's Thunder, and he's being pursued by giants. So hopefully they use the guides to uncover locations which give clues, they might pick up more clues, they have a rough idea of the story and the location of Omu, the lost city. This is the last chance for players to go away, don't spoil it. Now DMs, come here. Now I made myself some paper stuck together in a book to go through each location and simplify what was there. And that's why I'm making this video, so you don't necessarily have to. We have undead spots. The undead are back walking. This is highly undead. There are encounter tables to use for such events. Now my party, I got them to go up here to Fort Balerion. Fort Balerion is just one of the camps where soldiers from the Flaming Fist hunker down. Now they actually need permission to explore Chult. They can get permission here by doing a favour, a few quests. We get a goblin village, another couple of camps where soldiers are, Mbala, a hag, a grung village, Firefinger, a hideout for pterodons, some airship wrecks, some Aarakocras at Kirsabal send you down to Nangalore, where a Medusa waits. There's another wreck of an airship. We get a couple of mines to go in. Now this section of the map, my people never went to. But you're in a port, so they could hire a boat and get all the way down here first. And so you'd need to know what's in these places near a volcano. Just a lot of pre-knowledge is required. Of course we get a load of tables to help out, but you might end up having to run NPCs that you just didn't expect to. And that's before you get to the tomb. Omu is a big thing to run on its own. And in Omu is the tomb, which is a big thing to run on its own. It's a huge module. So yeah, I'm gonna look in my third-party books for other monsters. Maybe we'll need to add some puzzles, random encounters, whatever. We will go through it together. And I just find it easier in video form. Even if you're reading it yourself, it goes into my head better visually. So let's buckle up together, take a ride into the jungle, show your willingness for me to make these efforts for you by liking the video, and I'll see you in the next one.